Hello, everybody. Hello. Victor, let's get you guys all in here. G. Jones, Surrey. Admit all, admit all, admit all. It's so funny when the AGLA webinar ends, because when the AGLA webinar ends, everybody is here just coming in. Hello, everybody. Thank you for waiting for me if you weren't in the AGLA webinar just now on how to prepare yourself for court. Hi. Just wait a couple minutes, get everybody in here because we still have people joining us. I have a headache from wearing my glasses for too long. Hello. Hi. I'm sure we have questions about preparing yourself for court. If you missed that webinar with AGLA, I will rebrief it very quickly, but most of it has to do with what you're wearing, what you're saying, and how you're behaving. Okay. You guys, if you don't know this already, when you go to court, it's not the opportunity for you to run your mouth about everything that the tenant's doing wrong. In court, there's a process and procedure, and you need to follow it. It's not for verbal vomit of you going and telling the judge everything that's been going on. If that's your mentality, don't go to court. Send your property manager. This isn't for you. Okay. That's not what court's about. And we want to make sure that you're not exposing yourself to a pissed off judge, because it does happen. I've seen it happen. And we just want to make sure that you're not exposing yourself to that. So when you go to court, it's really important that you keep your mouth shut and only answer questions that are asked of you. Don't embellish, don't add your opinion, keep quiet, zip it, okay? The place for you to attack your tenant is on your disposition of security deposit, okay? That is where you attack, not in a courtroom. Makes you look bad. We don't like that. We don't want to look bad, ever. All right, people have questions, throw them at me. I can rehab what just happened in the AGLA webinar if you want me to. And I can answer questions from that because I'm sure a lot of you were in the AGLA webinar. So if you have questions regarding what was said today, I'd be more than happy to reiterate. A lot of people do not. Tenant advocate groups, the tenant advocate groups actually are for profit. They say they're non-profit, but that's BS. They take 33.33% of all monies awarded to the tenant. That's why they fight for so much. They get a third of it. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, they get a third of the money. Okay, I knew something was coming. My eviction trial date is in 2 weeks. I've fixed all the stuff the tenant complained about. The tenant still wants to go to trial. What could he have up his sleeve? He seems pretty confident considering he's gamed the system for 3 years. What city is it in? Huntington Park? Is Fast Evictions doing your case, Geraldo? What's the address, Geraldo? And when I'm done with this case, I'm going to go look it up and I'll give you my property management opinion on what I would do. And then I'll call you. Or you can call me at Fast Evict. Give me a call at Fast Evict about 3 o'clock if Fast Evict is handling the case. Okay, perfect. Call me at 3 o'clock and we'll have a one-on-one about your case, okay? The reason I say 3 is I got a busy day today, sir. Call me at 3. I'll pull up the case file and we'll talk about what's going on in your particular matter. Single family home in El Sereno. I don't know what county that's in. So help me. The tenants have been served a notice to cure and have not complied. As of January 31st, can I issue a 60-day notice to vacate? And if not, shall I provide one additional notice, them call Fast Evict? I'm going to assume that it's in the city of LA because you're talking about January 31st. Could be wrong, but I'm assuming here. So if it's in the city of LA, why in the heck are you going to turn around and serve a 60-day notice to them to get out in 60 days? You give them a notice to cure. If they don't cure, you're going to reinspect. So 24-hour notice to enter, to reinspect on the 4th day or the 5th day, okay? And if they still haven't complied, you're going to want to serve another covenant notice and put at the top second request and serve that again. This way you're building a case on the violations and not going after possession. Got it? On the 60-day. I don't know the severity of what the cure is. If it's bad enough, you should be able to do an eviction right now and not wait until January 30th. Property is in Larso. The tenant will be evicted at the end of this month. Do I need to have the unit inspection 2 weeks prior to her eviction? What you're talking about is a pre-move out inspection. And the only time a pre-move out inspection is not required is in surrender, abandonment, or eviction. Surrender, abandonment, or an eviction, you are not required to do the pre-move out inspection. So because you're evicting, the answer is no. No, you're not required to do it at all. You're also not required to do it as if they just move out in the middle of the night. You're also not required to do it if you come into work on a Monday and the keys are sitting in your Dropbox. That's a surrender. Okay? Surrender, abandonment, or eviction do not require a landlord to notify the tenant of their right to have an initial inspection. I hope I said that so that it all makes sense. Hi, Victor. I love all you guys. David, LA City. Yeah, call. I got you. Hell. But don't build your case. How do I say this? Hold on. Let me get into my little blonde brain. Hold on. Because I don't want to sound like I'm bitching at you. Is what this is about. Why, if your tenant's doing something wrong right now, that's a material breach of their lease, of their written rental contract, okay? Why are you gonna serve them a notice and then wait for the moratorium to end just to give them a 60-day? Build the case on the drama. Show the judge what they're doing wrong. Show them the material breach of the lease contract. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say to you. Don't wait for the moratorium to end and then terminate their tenancy. What if it doesn't end? Paying attention? If somebody is in violation of their lease contract and it's a material breach of the lease, and I'm not happy, I'm going to do my job. I'm going to build a case on the drama. And if you have a notification from code enforcement, the health department, building and safety, or a police report, the chances of you being able to evict for a nuisance are high, very high. We're doing evictions in the city of Los Angeles now for nuisances, for material breaches of the lease. We're being successful. Non-payment of rent and bad behavior are two different things. Both of them are something that you most likely can do an eviction for. But I'm going to tell you this, talk to your attorney, because in LA County, if you're doing evictions right now or trying to do an eviction for unauthorized occupants or unauthorized pets, they're protected because of COVID. So you want to make sure you're building your case solid, but you need to talk to your legal counsel. You need to talk to whoever is going to be representing you in court. That's the key, okay? So as nicely as I can say this, don't ask me. Ask the person that you're going to hire to stand next to you in court what they think. because they're the ones that have to argue it, not me. Got it? I hope that clicked. Remember this. Oh, there's people that want to come in. Let's let them in. My people are waiting in the lobby. An attorney will only argue what they feel comfortable arguing in a court of law. So you don't want to ask someone that's not representing you in court whether or not they would represent you. Does that make sense? You want to go ask the attorney, hey, if I build a case on the nuisance that's going on there, how many notices do I need of curable before I do the quit? Your attorney may tell you you need 5 curables before you do the quit to be successful in the city of LA at the Stanley Moss Courthouse, because they know. They're in that courthouse every day. They see that judge every day. They know what it takes to beat that judge. And let's face it, that's what we're doing, is we're convincing a judge to make a decision. So we want to follow what that judge in that courtroom is doing. The only way to get that information is to ask your attorney. I hope that makes sense to you. Bing, full circle. Okay. I got to go backwards. Window installers need to come back today because the tenant didn't clear the clutter. The vendor will charge me $200. Can I charge the tenant? Were they notified in writing that they needed to clear their clutter from that area? In other words, in order for you to charge them, you would have had to give them a 3-day curable breach of covenant that they were in violation of their contract. Following along? Remember, a 3-day pay rent or quit is for rent only, but a covenant notice is for everything else that you want them to do, everything else that they're in violation of. A late fee goes on a covenant notice. A broken window repair goes on a covenant notice. Not cleaning goes on a covenant notice. Unauthorized pets on a covenant notice. Any violation of the rental agreement goes on a covenant notice. If it's for rent, it goes on a 3-day pay rent or quit, but that's all that can go on there. So if they owe a utility bill and a late fee, that goes on a covenant, okay? Can I raise the rent on January 2023 in Sherman Oaks? I didn't raise the rent in 4 years. Hi, Patty, you look great in red. Thank you, Victor. I don't look good in orange, just saying, but I do look okay in red. I'm being funny about prison outfits. It's a joke about going to jail, okay? Sorry. It doesn't matter that you haven't raised the rent in 4 years. As far as doing a rent increase in Sherman Oaks, you fall under county. I want to say that you should be able to do a rent increase on January 1st, but we'll see how this unfolds by the end of the year and what the rules are as it evolves, because there are going to be some changes, folks. If we think this is all going to go quietly into the night, we're sadly mistaken. We are talking about tenants and they are the majority vote. So if we think that something isn't going to help protect them, then we're only lying to ourselves. 60-day is cleaner and less expensive. Yes, if it's allowed. It is cleaner because there's less room for error by you. Okay. It is less expensive if you are paying someone to do the notices for you. If you have to pay relocation fees of 1 month's rent, it could be more expensive. So it's up for argument, okay? Time and money are the most expensive things in our industry. So 60 days is a lot of time. That's expensive. If I can get them to eviction in 3, I want to do it that way. And some of these violations can go to a quit very quickly, depending on the severity of the issue. Police reports, code enforcement violations, those can go to a quit very quickly, whereas a nuisance without police reports has to be built up over time. Hey, Patty, can we increase rent in the city of LA and Inglewood? Right now, no. Inglewood, incorporated city of LA County. I'm gonna have to check to see if they have a moratorium. They did at one point. I don't know if they do again, but that's what we're back to, folks. We're back to all the municipalities coming up with their own rules and regulations regarding COVID. When the state law expires, it allows the municipalities to come up with their own rules and regulations. So let me say it like this. Do you guys remember in the beginning of COVID? Rewind your brain. In the beginning of COVID, remember how all the cities had their own rules and regulations, and it was a freaking nightmare? Do you guys remember that in the first 6 months of COVID? How all the individual cities came up, okay, no rent, only 25%. Oh no, the 25% was state law. So forget I said that. Go backwards to when all the little cities had all their own rules. You guys remember that? And then a state law came in and trumped all those little cities, and they had to follow the state law, okay? State law went away. State law was ruled unconstitutional by a federal court judge. Actually, it's the county's rule. So now all those little municipalities can come up with their own rules and regulations again. What does that mean? It means Patty's gonna rip out her hair. It's a lot to keep up with, you guys, but you're gonna have to Google each individual city and see what the rules and restrictions are in each individual city within the county as this continues to move towards ending. I hope I said that so that you understood it. Okay, so we're gonna start seeing individual municipalities come up with their own bureaucracy and bullshit, just saying. Measure H in Pasadena is a great example of what in the what just happened. In case you guys haven't been paying attention, Measure H, City of Pasadena, tenant needs to be market rent behind before the landlord can do an eviction. Market rent is $2,200. What did Patty just say? Well, let's say your rent's $1,000 a month and your tenant decides to pay $800 a month for 5 months. They're only $1,000 behind. You can't evict until they're market rent behind. I have no doubt that tenants will utilize that as a savings account for themselves. I mean, let's just paint a picture. Let's say my rent's $2,100 a month. I'm $100 under market value. So for the month of December, I don't pay my rent of $2,100. I'm not $2,200 behind. So you can't evict me. So the following month, I make sure I pay and I keep that $2,100 in the rears. They can't serve me a notice or evict me until I'm $2,200 behind. See how it works like a forced savings account? I mean, think about it. If you were the tenant, wouldn't you manipulate that system to act as a savings account for you so that you could have Christmas at your house? Yeah, Measure H sucks. Just saying. It's very pro-tenant, very pro-tenant. And We most like somebody is trying to call me. I'm sorry, Jackson Properties. Sorry, you guys. It's very pro-tenant. Some of these moratoriums we're going to see come about. Some of these municipalities, meaning individual cities, coming up with their own BS regarding COVID repayments. It's like the Measure H that just passed in the city of Pasadena. It's a mess. It's a nightmare. It's not okay. It's going to put us as landlords in a very different perspective. The fact that Gavin Newsom also made it so starting September 1st, we can't do wage garnishments unless the tenant makes more than $42 an hour. I hope that that gets redacted and changed and modified, because there's no recourse for us as landlords if the tenant doesn't pay, if we can't garnish their wages. Why would we rent to someone if there's no recourse for us? Paying attention? So with the changes that come about, I have no doubt that we'll see some tremendous changes right here to our own industry in a very rapid fashion, because I don't know about you guys, but if there's no recourse against tenants, why would I rent my unit? I mean, don't get me wrong. I've done a couple of evictions in the last 5 years. I want to say in the past 5 years, I've done 2. I don't do many anymore. I don't work in corporate America where I'm having to do them. I utilize my management skills rather than spending money on an attorney. And I say that as nicely as I possibly can. I don't like attorneys. They're expensive. All right, let's see what else you guys got, because I know you got questions and all this kind of stuff. Here we go. 60-day cleaner, less expensive. Hey, Patty, can we increase rent? We'll talk about that. I'll keep you posted. City of LA probably isn't going to allow a rent increase until 2024 would be my guess. But it's City of LA, so hey. And we'll see about incorporated and unincorporated and how that's going to go moving forward. So as it gets closer to the time you want to do your increase, let's have a conversation about it then. But for right now, let's table that, if you will, and let's put that on the table and revisit it. You guys will learn very quickly. I'm weird. See, I don't like to follow the herd. I want to stand over here and I want to watch the herd, and I want to see what happens to the herd before I go get in line. So I'm the person that wants to watch somebody else face plant in their court trial before I go down that road. So forgive me for saying, let's wait, let's table that. It's so that I can watch what happens to other people that made a bad decision and make sure that we don't copy them. I know it's not very, I want an answer, Patty, and I want it now. The reality is that answer may not be there. So what I like to do is watch other people go jump off the cliff, and then I'll decide whether or not I want to jump too. So forgive me if I'm not telling you, run right down there and do that. But I'm trying to protect you as if I owned the property. So I'm trying to look at it from my perspective. Yes, ask me at the end of the year. You got it. One tenant, hey, Kern County, continually late. We've served them 3 days, at least 5 times over the past year, even this month. We had to chase him around and waive late fee if he paid yesterday, which he did, but I'm over the babysitting. Is it legal and or ethical for me to tell him if he's late one more time, we will not accept his rent and continue with an eviction? I don't want to threaten. So try not threatening. Try coming from a different angle. Unfortunately, I can't have the rent continually paid late on this property. Is there something that we can do with the upcoming income tax refund that we anticipate hitting your account probably in the month of February, and maybe use part of those funds to get ahead so that we're not chasing you for the rent every month? It's worth a shot. And what you could tell them is, we now have a zero tolerance policy on late rents. So if your rent is due on the first, 3 days will be served on the second. Eviction will be started by the 5th. I mean, you could just let them know, unfortunately, I have a zero tolerance policy on late rents. And the reality is, Val, you're probably going to have to put him in eviction and have him buy his way out to believe you. And what I mean by an early buyout is, okay, you started eviction against me. I want to do something that we call in the industry a pay and stay. In other words, you want to bring everything current so that you can continue to stay there and continue our relationship. So to do a pay and stay, I always include the rents, late fees, legal expenses, and I always ask for next month's rent in advance. Well, wait, Patty, you can't ask for advanced rents. You can when you're renegotiating. Besides, that's 1 month. You're not chasing money. 1 month. I can't get 2 months advance rents. That's illegal, but I can get 1. So I always ask, so if I were to do a pay and stay right now and they owed October, November, and December's rent, I would tell them I need October, November, December. I need late fees for October, November, December. I need the legal expenses I've spent so far, and I'd like January's rent in advance, please. And I need it all in a cashier's check or money order, and that's what it would take for me to stop the eviction. Once you accept a dime of money, the eviction is voided anyway, okay? Remember that. So if you're gonna void it, you might as well void it and make it worth your while. Get everything they owe you plus next month's rent in order to stop the eviction. See how I did that? Oh, you want to stop the eviction? You don't want to be evicted? It's okay. Just pay me all the money you owe, plus the late fees, plus the legal expenses, plus give me next month's rent in advance, and I'll go ahead and stop that. Hang on, I'm going through my notes. You're gonna, yes, better than shooting him. Better than shooting him, Val. Does my 85-year-old mother, the property owner, need to be at the trial? Geraldo, pay attention to me, okay? You're the property manager. So as an agent for the owner, you should be able to appear for them and testify in a court trial. Paying attention? So if you want mom to come to court and you do all the talking, but mom's there, that's okay too. Just identify yourself as the property manager. And just in case somebody asks you, you're not paid. That would be my answer, and I would stick to it. Why? Because if you're the property manager and you're getting paid, you better be a licensed real estate agent. If you're the property manager and you're not getting paid, then you don't have to be a licensed agent. And that's usually what happens when we deal with stuff for our parents. I dealt with it for my mom, same thing. She went to court, she didn't speak. I spoke as the property manager, but she appeared in court standing next to me. And it worked fine. They didn't ask mom any questions. She wasn't overwhelmed. She stood there next to me and I acted as the property manager. And I was a licensed broker at that time, so nobody asked me, but yeah. You just want to be careful that you're not getting paid if you're not a licensed agent. Just saying. It's me trying to protect you guys. Okay. Hey, Patty, San Bernardino County. Owner wants to know, is there a maximum we can charge for additional deposit for the pets? Yes. Are blinds or curtains required in a home for an owner to provide? Ah. I know I'm not saying anything. And you guys keep in mind, I'm looking to see who's asking me the question. Okay. So this is professional managed properties. We have an image we want to uphold as a professionally managed property management company. And we have a criteria of what we will take on and what we won't. If it doesn't meet our criteria, we won't manage a particular property because we have a standard that we have to uphold. Paying attention? So if a landlord is shoving down your throat a dilapidated POS that you don't want to manage, just tell them that the property is not up to your standards. Got it? I'm coming back to that question because there's more there, okay? Hang on, because my phone's going crazy. Apparently packages are being delivered to my front door. Can you charge additional deposit for pets? Yes. What is the maximum deposit that you can charge? Is the maximum deposit required by law? If they're active military duty, the maximum security deposit allowed by law is 1 month's rent. If it is a vacant unit, the maximum deposit allowed by law is double the rent as a security deposit. So 2 months of rent as a deposit. On a fully furnished unit, the maximum is 3 times the amount of the rent as a security deposit. So when you ask me what's the maximum you can allow for a pet, it's not a pet deposit, it's additional deposit. If you define what the deposit's for, you're hurting yourself. So your rent's $1,000. We have $1,000 security deposit on file, and now you want to bring in a pet. An additional deposit would be required in the amount of, you can't go over double on a vacant unit. There's a law. Triple on a fully furnished unit. Okay. I hope that helped. And as far as curtains go, I always require that curtains are on the front, curtains or blinds. Window coverings are required for me to manage your property on the front of the home. I don't require windows or window coverings on the back of the property if the yard's fenced and it's going into the backyard. But I made a standard for my property management clients that window coverings were required on the front of the home. Here's the reality of that. Do we want tenants installing blinds and curtains every time somebody moves in and moves out? No. Besides, some of the stuff they put up is fugly. Okay? Just saying. That's how we stop them from that. But I make my landlords that I'm managing property for have window coverings on the front portion of all windows on the front portion of the house. It's just a better business practice. It sets you above the rest. And then you don't have tenants trying to install curtain rods and blinds, and they're not falling through windows trying to install things because they don't have a ladder. They're standing on a rocking chair. Hope all that made sense. Below is the information where you may access the webinar on the Zoom platform. Topic: allowable rent increases in the city of Los Angeles. City of LA. Okay, thank you for that. David. Patty, now that eviction masking is in place, David?
Yes, go ahead.
The eviction masking law passed January 1st of 2017. Where have you been?
No, I know that. I just read the rest. Just read the rest.
I'm writing an article called "The Last 10 Years of Property Management." What have you missed? So
just
that's
read the
why
rest.
I know when that law passed is I'm working on that article. Okay, so now that it's in place, would it be legally possible for landlords to create their own blacklist of tenants and make it available to share with other landlords, not including the pandemic period? No, it is absolutely illegal. And I'll be honest with you, back in the day, back in the day, about 10, no, longer than that. It's been longer than that. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, property managers would get together at their property management meeting and pass around blacklists. That's discrimination in every aspect. So the answer to that question is no. And I'm not going to say anything else about that because I hear you, I feel you, I want to tell you, yes, spread the word. But the reality is, don't. It's bad, bad, very bad. Don't do it. It's discriminatory. Can I say I'm the son instead of the property manager? Here's the problem with that. As the son, do you know all aspects of her account dealings with the tenants? So when you identify yourself as the son, then they don't want to hear from you because you have no bearing in this case matter. Got it? It's just like when the tenant's mom shows up to court and the judge won't listen to her because she's not a party in the action. You're not a party in the action as the son of the landlord, but you are a party in the action as the property manager and able to testify in court. I know you don't want to say you're the property manager, but if you want to be able to talk in court, that's probably going to be your best course of action. Okay. I had to do it for my mom and I lied. I said I was the property manager and I wasn't. But in all reality, when you think about it, you are. Your mom tells you what's going on and you deal with the tenant directly. You step in and handle problems. You step in and handle issues. You are the property manager. You just don't want to define yourself that way. It's exactly who you are. Sorry, I didn't mean to rain on your parade, but you are the property manager for your mother's property. Try to tell me you're not. What if they call it a pet fee versus a deposit? Deposits are refundable, fees are not. If you want to charge a $500 pet fee, then it's a fee, it's not refundable. Cleaning fee, key fee, those are fees. They're not refundable. A deposit is. Okay. I'm trying to put that in your head. A deposit is refundable. A fee is not. You have an application fee. It's not an application deposit. Why? Because it's not refundable. A deposit is refundable.
Could you say a non-refundable deposit of $250 for pet?
How can you make a deposit non-refundable? It's a deposit, which means it is refundable. If it's not refundable, then it's a fee. Following me? Paying attention? Cleaning fee, not refundable. Cleaning deposit, completely refundable. If it's a deposit, it's a refundable. If it's a fee, it is not refundable. Paying attention?
Okay, Patty, we got it. Thank you.
Okay, I tried really hard. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you for tolerating me being obnoxious, because I know sometimes I am, and I've had 2 Red Bulls this morning, so that's scary. Hi, Tony. Tony is my LA girl, folks. Just to give you a little bit of history, Tony has several properties, apartment communities in LA, in the city of LA, that her family has managed for decades. And she has taken over these properties for her parents, that have been through, they've been through the Watts riots, they've been through the cream of the crap. And Tony is very well versed on Larso and their happenings. So I sometimes reach out to her when I have a issue or something going on within the city of LA, just because she's been so familiar with it for so long. Hey, Patty, City of Huntington Park. Huntington Park. Huntington Park has its own rent control. Is that Hyde Park? No, it's Huntington Park. I'd have to Google it to make sure. No, I'm thinking of Baldwin Park. My bad, Tony. Take that off. I was thinking Baldwin Park. So make that go away. Huntington Park, I have a 1922 Craftsman single-family house with a detached guest house with sewer and plumbing permits from 1931 that I found on microfilm, good God, and pulled from building safety and planning. So they haven't been able to claim that it was illegally built. Yes! But I additionally went to the assessor's office to get a copy of all property details when built. They said that even with the detached dwelling, granny guest house, it's still considered a single family home. So if I ever have to evict for whatever reason, the tenant in the granny guest house, what notices should I have given the tenant now about rent control? Hold on. So you're not subject to them saying it's under their rent control. Okay. So you're exempt from the city's garbage, but now you're governed by the county or the state. Following me, Tony? And state of California has AB 1482, which is a statewide rent control that says if there's more than one residential dwelling on a tax bill, it's subject to 1482. So if the landlord doesn't live in one unit, then you would be subject to the statewide rent control, Tony, which would make you susceptible to a rent increase of 5% annually plus the CPI, which is currently 7%, for a total never to exceed 10%. And if you want to terminate tenancy without cause, you have to pay relocation fees comparable to 1 month's rent. Okay, so what you're looking up about rent control is going to be AB 1482, which now is noticed as the Tenant Protection Act, or the TPA, and it's also now known as California Civil Code 1946.6. Got it? So that's where you are, Tony. So I would be disclosing to new tenants as they move into that property that you're subject to 1482. Okay, I hope that answered that question. So if you're exempt from the city, then you're governed by the state. Hi, Patty. On an eviction in San Bernardino County, is the property owner responsible for the cost of towing cars off the property? I'm gonna tell you guys something. The owner is responsible for everything, always. You may be able to pass those expenses back on to the tenant, but the owner has to pay. So in an eviction matter, or even in a move out matter, if the tenant leaves abandoned cars on the property, then the landlord would have to call a tow truck company. And they only work in a 12-mile radius, just so you guys know. Have them post the vehicle and then pay them to remove the vehicle from the property. And then there's an and then. You would be able to put that expense on your disposition of security deposit. Paying attention? That click? Ah, yes. So yes, the owner could tow it away. The owner's going to have to front that money, but you should be able to put it on the dispo. Why am I telling you that you can put that on the disposition of security deposit? It's just like trash and debris. The landlord has to hire someone to make it go away, and there's an expense for that. So that expense gets passed on to the tenant. Drag the cars into the street, then it's not your problem. I've done this several times. Val, I don't know who would have ever told you that. So you can actually climb under the car, disengage the drivetrain, and then the car will roll wherever you want it to. Like right out into the middle of the street. And then somebody might call the city. Just saying.
How do you deal with the steering wheel lock?
If you drop the drivetrain, you can just turn the wheels.
Nice.
But I'm a blonde and I'm a female. I shouldn't know this stuff. I know way too much about toilets and water heaters. Just saying. I know what a heating element is. I know what an piezo switch is. I know what a thermocoupler is and when it stops working and what that causes to happen in your water heater. I shouldn't know this stuff. I'm a girl. I owe too much rental property is the problem. So yes.
Patty, this is Sarita. I have a quick question.
Sure, what you got?
Can I ask? Okay, so I have a single family home, and on the lease, it was, I gave them notice that the state law 1482, that this single family home was exempt. However, so what you said earlier, when a state law is exempt from paying relocation fees, then the city or the county law takes over. Is that correct?
Kind of, but you have it backwards. When it
I have
comes
it
to
backwards? Okay.
when it comes to restrictions, you have to go with what governs you immediately. And for you, that would. So if you dodge
Okay.
the city's rule, then the county's rule covers you. If you dodge the county's rule, then the state covers you.
Okay, got it. That helps a lot. So now I know it's always the closest rule that is if I can go over that, right? Then you go upward, not the reverse. I was thinking it was reverse from state to down.
You don't start at the big umbrella. You start right where you are and go up from there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. I wanted to know.
Right.
Thank you.
No worries. But that's what I meant by you have it backwards, is you started with the state
Right.
law, started with the big umbrella, and what you should have done is started in the city you're in, and then went to the county,
And that's what, right.
Okay.
Okay, I have one last question. I have a rental property that I'm gonna raise their rent, but because it's considered luxury, because it was, so I can do that 1482, meaning raise their rent 5% plus the 7% CPI, right? As long as the city has considered it a luxury unit.
If the city considered it a luxury unit and the city has a different amount for a luxury unit, then you have to follow that city amount, not the
Okay,
state.
so I better call.
Bingo.
All right.
Go.
Who do I call for that? Just call Agla or
Yeah,
Google it?
call Agla. You can also Google it.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
No problem.
Okay.
I see you, Val. Hang on. Thanks, Pat. Oh, thank you, Andrea. I love you guys. I haven't had to place a new tenant in a while, but I'm about to in Kern County. Do I need to include old silly 1482 forms? Yes. They're not old silly 1482 forms, Val. They're cover your asset forms, okay? Remember, 1482 became Civil Code 1946.6. So in your new lease contract, if it doesn't say anything about disclosing that the property is exempt from statewide rent control or is susceptible to the Tenant Protection Act, then you're using an old lease. You need to use a new one, and you need to disclose that you're exempt. If you don't disclose that you are exempt at the inception of the lease, then for the term of the tenancy, you have rent control. Now it's not a silly form anymore, is it? We want to disclose that you are exempt from hello so that you are exempt throughout that tenancy. Otherwise, you're susceptible to it and it goes for that tenancy. Make sense? I hope that clicked with you, Val. So you want to disclose to all new incoming tenants that you're exempt from statewide rent control. If you don't, you have statewide rent control. And it should be as simple as a checkbox on your written contract. And if you need help with that, call me. I got you. And I'm pretty sure you use CAA forms, if I remember correctly. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But CAA's new written rental agreement, oh, you use CAR forms. Are you sure you use CAR? I thought you used CAA. CAR is California Association of Realtors. That's what you use, CAR? I thought you used CAA, the California Apartment Association. You used to be an AGLA member. We may have to fix that and put you back on AGLA. They're pretty damn good, but it should be right on. I'm going to sneeze. I know it's coming. I can feel it. Like, I know it's coming. I'm going to sneeze. It's building up right here. The things we know about ourselves. Hey, I haven't had to place a new tenant in a while. Crap car. Yes, I used to be an agent. I quit. I remember you used to be an agent. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I hate car forms. Yes, I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of California, and I hate car forms. Pay attention. I may ask questions later. The reason why I hate car forms for property management transactions. Mind you, for sales transactions, they are spot on. Property management, not so much, okay? I'll give you an example. You guys are looking at a car lease, okay? CAR, California Association of Realtors, and it is a written rental contract. It has a butt ton, and I mean butt ton, of check boxes that you must check. What if you miss one? The reason I don't like CAA documents is it leaves too much room for error on the side of the landlord. If you miss a box, and God knows you're going to miss the one you need, you hang yourself. So I don't like all those little boxes. It's too easy to miss one. And I'll give you a great example. I'm very familiar with several documents, AGLA's lease contracts and documents, CAA's lease contracts and documents, and car forms lease contracts and documents. And what I mean by that is I could ask you what the date is in the bottom corner of your car form and then proceed to tell you what page the provision is you're looking for. Well, that's on page 6, item 28, your attorney's fees clause. But only if your car forms contract is dated So I have this weird photographic type memory, but it's not really photographic. I can't explain it to everybody. It's weird. But way back in the day when I was a regional manager, a property manager would bring me a car form and say, okay, this is a new landlord that wants to sign up with us and they have this contract in place and they want to get the tenant out. How valid is this? I just pick apart the contract and figure out everything that they did wrong and why it has so many holes in it. So I'm really good at ripping those contracts apart. And just saying, you forgot this and you forgot that. No, you forgot here. This is why you need a professional property management company. Is more than apparent that you're exposing yourself to unknowns and not protecting yourself to the best of your ability. So I've utilized that knowledge for quite some time. As far as your forms, you guys, I beg you, please. And I use this every day at the law firm, okay? When you're pulling out a written rental contract and you're about to fill it out and then have the tenant sign it, do yourself a big fat favor, okay? In the very bottom of that written rental contract is a revision date. It might say 12/21. It might say 12 of 16. That was the last time that contract that you have in front of you was updated. So I have just one question. How many laws have changed since then? And if you're not using the most current one, you're probably not protecting yourself. Shame on you. Somebody came into the law firm a couple of weeks ago and said, well, Patty, I've been using the same contract for years. I pull it up and look at it. It's dated 2002, last revised 2002. You think the laws have changed since then? Just saying. You think the disclosures have changed since then? Just saying. That's how you know, okay? Right in the very bottom corner, usually on the left on car forms, it's on the left. On CAA docs, it's on the left. On AGLA docs, it's on the left, and it's a revision date. And the last time that document was revised. If you're using something that's 10 years old, you're hurting yourself, not helping yourself. Want to know another secret? Do you know how Patty knows so many civil codes? It's on your notices. Start paying attention. When you do a disposition of security deposit, it says right in the beginning, itemized disposition of security deposit in compliance with California Civil Code 1950.5. One time I got scolded in court by the tenant saying that I illegally raised the rent. When I go to court, I put my tenant file in order and I put flags in the file to mark rent increases, the lease contract, a violation from code enforcement, animal control, whatever is going on. And I flag those documents with a sticky note and write right on it what it is. Animal control violation. That way, if I'm asked in court about something, I can respond accordingly as quickly as I can. So this tenant said, Your Honor, she illegally raised the rent on me. And no, I didn't. But again, this isn't my turn to talk. This is my turn to listen. So what do I do when I hear that come out of the tenant's mouth? I flip open my file to rent increase. I find the rent increase notice. And what does it say on it? It says, per California Civil Code. It's right there. It's on the notice. So now, when I'm in court, I say, Your Honor, in regards to the rent increase, I was in complete compliance with California Civil Code, and I quote it because it's on the notice. So now I look like a genius, but I'm just cheating and looking at the notice because the civil code's on the document. You're welcome. It's an easy way. If you guys think I have all of these things like completely memorized, you're sadly mistaken. The reason why I know what civil code goes with what notice is it's printed on the damn notice. Start paying attention. When you serve a notice to enter, a 24-hour notice to inspect, there's a civil code on the notice. I hope this is clicking for you guys. So yes, when I'm asked in court about an illegal rent increase, I will pull that rent increase, ask the bailiff to hand it to the judge and show them that I am in complete compliance. When they try to hang me with something that isn't correct, I feed off of it. Oh yeah, you think I illegally raised your rent? No, I didn't. Watch this. Here's the document. Here, Your Honor. There wasn't any legal rent increase. Thanks for playing the game. Now do you guys understand how I prepare my case file when I go to court? I flag every document that may be brought up. And I just mark it with a little sticky and I stick it on the edge of it and I write what it is. Code enforcement violation, animal control citation, rent increase, lease contract, addendum, move-in inspection. That way, when that tenant starts running their mouth and doing verbal vomit to come after me, I am preparing my documents for my rebuttal with the judge. No, Your Honor, I'm in complete compliance with the civil code. Here's a copy of the rent increase notice. And in regards to the animal control violation, she signed the ticket. Why would you sign a ticket if it wasn't your dog? Just saying. And here's a copy of that document, Your Honor. So I hope this is clicking with how to prepare your documents for court. You don't know what you need until that tenant starts running their mouths. So if you have everything and it's flagged, you should be able to produce it within seconds. That's what the court's looking for. If you're that organized, you're winning. We're not walking down the hallway with open arms. Attorney Leslie Bourne has said it for decades. If you walk into the courthouse and your arms are swinging, your case is losing. She goes, I can pick a winning case from the moment I lay eyes on the landlord. Because if they're walking up to me with their arms swinging, hi, Miss Bourne, I'm here. We're losing. They don't have any documents. It's whatever I have in the case file. So now we're depending on whoever put this file together. Oops. Be your best course of action. Be your plan B. Yes, you hired an attorney to represent you in court, but you still need to protect your own asset. Got it? Yes, we hired them. We hired them to speak the language and do the deed. But if documents need to be prepared, you are your plan B. You don't know what you're going to need until it happens. So take everything. Everything. Okay? I hope that's helpful. Anybody need anything else? Because I'm going to get off of here. We're over our time. We've over our hour. I didn't mean to invade your lunch breaks. I know we got a busy month ahead of us with the holidays rapidly approaching. If I could give you guys 2 cents of problems that happen during the holidays, we tend to see more fires around this time of the year than we normally do. Stay calm. Remember, when a crisis happens, it happens to everybody, not just you. When a tenant calls you and says, there was a fire, they just lost half their stuff. Don't be a jerk about it. You have insurance. Hopefully they do too. Don't be a jerk about it, okay? Try to remember to be human. It gets you a lot further than being a jerk, okay? If you're approachable as a landlord and there's a problem at the property, the tenant is more likely to communicate that problem with you. If you're unapproachable, they probably aren't going to tell you. We don't want that. We want to be able to be approached. I want my tenant to tell me, hey, I had a problem this month. You know, we had a death in the family. I had to leave the state. I'm going to be late on my rent. Okay, can you pay me anything today in good faith? Give me something. At least then I have enough money to serve a notice. Communicate. Make them feel like they can come approach you with things. Not that you're going to fix everything, not that you have deep pockets, but at least if they're communicating with you and you're keeping those lines open, you're ahead of the game. How many landlords do we have where they aren't able to communicate with their tenants and they're like, oh yeah, they just shut the door in my face. They won't pay the rent. They're hiding from you for a reason. They know they screwed up. Don't go poke them. Just do your job. Start the eviction. It's business. It's not personal. You guys are so sweet. Very nice outfit. All I do is have on a shirt. I'm sitting here in my Crocs. But you guys can't see my Crocs. Yes, I have Bigfoot stickers and things on them. But no, I'm in Crocs and jeans and a nice business shirt so that it shows in my webinar. All right. Thank you for saying that you guys like my hair and my outfit. I tried to be a little Christmassy and I appreciate you guys. Yes, I got my hair did. It was that time. It needed to be done. If you guys need anything, hunt me down. Have a great week. I'm here if you need me. And I will see you guys all next week. And I anticipate on having our Wednesdays with Widget all the way through the holiday. Okay, that way we can talk about turkey fires and the weird things that happen at Christmas time. And I will share with you some funny stories, I'm sure. And you guys will share with me some funny stories. It's what we do. All right, you guys, if you need anything, hunt me down. Have a great week. Thank you for following Widget's Way. I appreciate all of you more than you know. Thank you and have a great week. Bye, everybody.